to the Retrograde video game podcast, where this week we talk all the things you need to know about Summer Game Fest 2024.
Oh, 2012. Oh, good. I'm glad you specified the year.
We're going back to 2023 today. Yeah.
My name is Andrew Baskin. With me, as always, is the bad boy podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself.
Mikey Aaron Worth putting on a little sunscreen today, ladies and gentlemen.
Getting a little crispy out there.
It's getting a little crispy.
Summer Game Fest.
Summer Game Fest. Do you look forward to Summer Game Fest?
It comes faster and faster every year. It's one of those ones where it happens and I go, was that this weekend?
Yeah.
And then I go and I try to read as much as possible.
So back in the day, it was always about E3 for me and for everyone else. And Summer Game Fest kind of became the thing. But it's like, it feels like Summer Game Fest to me feels like,
yeah.
I'm staring into the camera for this one.
Yes, you are.
It feels like, and my parents are happily married, but it feels, I just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah. It's important context.
It is to the point I'm about to make. It feels like if you were in a family of divorce and Christmas comes around and you're like, it's still Christmas. It's still great, but it would be great. It would be even better if we could do this all together.
Oh, okay.
Because it's very splintered right now.
Yes. Everyone's got their own announcements.
Everyone's got their own. There is Summer Game Fest, and they do a bunch of ubiquitous things that apply to all the consoles and all, and people take part in that. But then Microsoft does their own thing. Sony does their own thing. You get some independent developers doing their own thing, and that's cool. I like that. I think it allows people to kind of show their best stuff. But I also feel like it adds a little bit more filler potentially, because they're like, hey, I've got a full hour to myself in this presentation. I'm going to do this. And I know they would have their keynotes and all that stuff, but it just felt more communal, I think, back in E3. And if you ask a journalist, I think they'd be happy that it's being separated. But yeah, man, that weekend or so of E3 was always like that. I had that circled on my calendar. Summer Game Fest kind of, I'm still a huge fan of gaming news and these announcements and trailers, but it does kind of come. I don't have the date circled in the same way that I would before.
No, when it was condensed, it was easy to I'm going to watch it.
Yes.
Now it's like, I will read about it afterwards, or I'll watch the trailers online, which is how I consumed it. How did you consume it?
It was kind of the same where I was actually up at a cottage while it was going on. Okay. I was having my own Summer Game Fest, but the games were water polo.
Wow. Yeah.
Water skiing.
Yeah. A lot of water.
Mario Sunshine. Echo the Dolphin. So everyone was there. I wasn't really able to follow along with the conferences while they were going, the keynotes, the presentations. But I was able to look up all the trailers after the fact, read a bunch of articles about it, which I almost found more daunting and more like it was impinging on my own impressions of the trailers themselves sometimes, because I think they're, it's IGN. They're going to lead off with the most popular trailers first, or Polygon, whoever it is. Yeah. So I did feel like I was almost like, if it's at the bottom of the page, it's probably not the best of the trailers. And that was kind of coloring my impression of it. How did you consume it?
I watched, I just went through summary articles and watched all the trailers. And it's the same way that you do that, where at the top of the article, you're like, whoa. And I'm taking all these notes. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Then you get to the bottom, you're like, I'm not going to mention that. Okay, whatever. But there was, I don't know why, but it felt like this year, maybe more than other years, I was like, there was a lot of okay.
There were a lot of really good looking games. I found though that last year's felt as though, like last year when we did this, most of the games we talked about were like new or first looks. This felt more often than not like updates to games we already knew about, which is good in its own way.
I know, but
it feels a little bit less like, I already knew about that.
It's the state of the industry in a lot of ways. The games are taking so long to come out, which no fault in anybody. I totally understand.
No, it's the fault of the developer, like the individual coders.
Yeah.
Crunch.
Crunch, baby.
First, we get rid of crunch. Yeah. Second, we have to wait 10 years for a fucking game?
Yeah.
Come on.
Get out of here.
Work harder.
Exactly. So I blame the coders.
And also, bring down the price of your games.
Yeah.
Work harder
for less.
Charge me less.
Yes.
And make the games better.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's only fair.
I have so many good ideas about what can make good video games.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think they should just listen to me. I could probably run a video game development company.
Do you think you actually could? Oh, wow, you do. Oh, shit, you do.
I think I could work for a video game development company and be very good at it. I don't think I could run one. I don't know enough about everything.
I think I could run one, because once it gets to the actual top, it's just mostly management.
That's
of
true.
People.
That's what I mean more.
I don't have to I don't have to sit there and go like, what if what if he was a pilot, but he also, like they're like,
no, you get to,
everyone's sitting there like just bated breath, like, and what? And you're like, but he also is a superhero.
He's a superhero pilot.
And people are like, oh, and running out of the office, just holding papers.
He can jump out of his plane, save someone down on the ground, and fly back up to the plane before the plane crashes. And that's what the game's about.
It's a golf simulator where my wife doesn't cheat on me.
And
like, oh yeah, oh sorry,
I'm a superhero.
And also I have a huge dong. Does that matter? Yeah. Because that point of running a studio is pretty much like just like numbers.
Yeah.
Are you on budget?
Sure.
Sounds good.
Very much not developing the game itself.
Yeah, no, I know.
So obviously, all tongue in cheek. It's great to see these updates on the games, but yeah, I think it takes a little bit of the sting out of the punch when you've already heard of the game itself and you're a little bit more familiar with it.
Or this is the third time they've done it. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, we've got an update. And you're like, okay.
There's also like, just from a general standpoint of these conventions, I don't know if I've become jaded or the industry has changed a little bit. Oh yeah, no, of course I have to some degree, to a fairly large degree. But I feel like trailers now just don't get me as excited as they used to because of the ability to say it's in-game footage or say it's in-engine or something like that. And clearly it's not representative of how the game plays. If Ubisoft has taught me anything, it's that it's a lot easier to make a good-looking trailer, a fantastic-looking trailer, than it is to make a game that looks fun.
Yep.
And sometimes the games that look the funnest, the most fun, are the least fun to play.
Yeah.
And that's something that I always have my hackles up a little bit when it comes towards, and that makes presentations like these a little bit tough. I think it's
easy to be cynical about this.
It is. Yeah. It is for sure. Yeah. But so before we get into, we're going to get into some of our favorite picks from each of these showcases. Before we do that, Andrew, what is this when you go through a list of trailers or you're watching the trailers? What are the ones that are more likely to catch your attention? What's the special sauce that speaks to Andrew?
Unfortunately, it is games.
You can't say hot sauce.
Oh, that's not. Well, what's your favorite kind of hot sauce, by the way?
Ketchup, probably.
Oh boy,
ketchup
with a little salt in it. Spicy,
but like the unspicy kind.
Is it? Unfortunately, it is the games that you know. Like it's games that you were aware of previously, or it's an iteration of an installment. It's the next installment of a game that you'd already been playing.
Sure.
It's just that's why video games were on 6, 7, 8 of games, is because it sells well. You already know what to expect out of it.
Yeah.
Then it would be types of games that I already like playing. There's a game on here that's very much like open world, but it's like kind of an IP that I like, and I'm like, okay.
Oh, I think I know where we're going.
So this is like a happy medium of things. Okay, cool. Those are the games that immediately pique my attention. The ones that are like new concept, never heard of it, and it's an MMO, and I'm like, I'll watch it all. I'm a video game journalist. I do my best here. But it's not the one that immediately I'm hopping all over like red meat, you know?
Yeah, I think in the state of, okay, I'm about to watch a lot of trailers. It's like reading resumes or I'm sure like flipping through job descriptions or something. You immediately want to be able to put it in a yes or a no pile.
Yes.
So I'm constantly like, oh, it's an MMO. Okay, I'm gonna take a breather on this one. MMOs don't work for me. Oh, it's an open world game. Okay, I'm probably not gonna be that interested. Like I'll watch it, but it's not. And there's that list, that hierarchy of things that I'm excited about. One thing that and probably the one biggest difference in the way I watch trailers, if I already know about it, I'm much less interested in the trailer.
Interesting.
Because I'm like, unless it's pure gameplay and it's like, here's a gameplay demo, then I'm very into it.
Can I also say the same thing? If it's an all cinematic trailer?
Oh, no.
I'm almost okay. Like you can say whatever you want in that. Gameplay ones, I'm like, hello, now we're talking.
The only time an all cinematic trailer works for me is the first time you're hearing about a game. Everything other than that, I'm like, no, I knew about this. Show me what this game looks like. Otherwise, like, I'll catch you in a year from now.
Show me.
Just show me. I want to see this.
Stop
Work harder.
Yeah.
And the other thing is developers that I know. Because obviously when you see a property that you never heard of, it's immediately a yes or a no based on a variety of factors. But if it's a developer I know and a developer I like, I'm much more interested in what they're bringing to the table.
But like you're pretty tapped in. You read a lot of news about you know, video games and stuff like that. Is it often that the first time you're hearing about a game ever is in Summerfest?
Summer Game Fest,
Summer Game Fest, right?
Pretty often. There are at least, you know, a few announcements of a game that I'd never heard of. You might hear rumblings that there's a sequel to a game coming out or something like that. But for the first time you've heard about a game, it's usually at an event like this, whether it's Summer Game Fest or the Video Game Awards or something along those lines. It usually is like people want a bigger stage for it, for the reveal. But when it comes to the games that really interest me, like some of the smaller indie titles, more few and far between are you getting them in these sorts of instances. Maybe it's a Nintendo Direct, maybe it's a Sony State of Play that comes just in the middle of the year or something like that. But Summer Game Fest usually has some surprises, and it definitely did last year. Definitely fewer this year in terms of new games that I hadn't heard about, but some good check-ins.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you want to start talking about the games that we know are coming out soon?
Let's start.
Eventually.
Eventually.
I was gonna say like now. No, that's not true.
So when I was going through, I was making a list of games. It was either games that interested me or games that I'm curious to get your impressions on and your interest level.
Please.
And I'm sure you just skipped some of these outright because you knew where they were coming from.
Sure.
Like I was intending on skipping. We're going to start with like the vanilla Summer Game Fest, and then we're going to get into some of the more specific developer showcases. But Quidditch Champions.
Oh, that's funny. I have this down here.
So I watched the trailer for this.
Yeah.
More because I'm a fan of the creator of Harry Potter than anything
J.K.
else.
Rowling.
Yeah.
Joanna.
I don't Joanna herself. I don't really care so much about the Harry
boy
Potter.
wizard.
He's a wizard, I think.
He's a wizard, Harry.
He's a wizard or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, not actually. But Quidditch Champions is the kind of thing that strikes me as potentially an attempt at like a Rocket League or a not Battle Royale quite, but like a Super Mario Strikers that came out. Maybe it's going to be a free-to-play thing, or is what I thought. But it seems like there are story elements in it which could be interesting, and it means if it's a single player, it could have a little bit of weight there. Not something that interests me because I don't really like Harry Potter, but what are your impressions on that? You think it's got any staying?
I have pass written down on it.
I have a pass on that as well.
And it's mostly that I just don't care for Harry Potter. I think I'm just like, it just was not a thing that I cared about growing up. It's funny that last year Hogwarts Legacy came out and was a pretty big game.
It was a massive game, especially for fans of Harry Potter.
Well, yeah, I would say almost exclusively. So like, which there are tons of them.
Oh, yeah.
But it was one of a massive game we didn't really talk about on the podcast. And I imagine the fate of Quidditch the Champions is the exact same. Where it'll come out, it'll be played by a bunch of people for an indeterminate amount of time, and you and I probably will not mention it.
It's the struggle that I have is it had a very Daniel Radcliffe-esque version of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Almost to the point where I'm like, does he know about, is he going to be okay with their use almost his likeness? But,
yeah. Well, what kind of likeness rights thing did he sell? Like, sign over when he made those movies.
Exactly. But it's the kind of thing where it's like not him, but is very clearly supposed to be him. But
okay, wait. But it's also Harry Potter, which like kid with glasses and like a bowl cut and a lightning bolt. Like, it's like, okay.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Fuck me then, I guess.
Well, J.K. Rowling would have a few things to say about that.
But I can see this being popular, like you said, with fans of the franchise. The problem is the limited gameplay that it showed, just boosting towards a circle with a ball in your hand on a broom. I'm like, I just can't imagine that what they're doing with this game is putting the emphasis on gameplay. No. And that worries me a little bit and makes me ask the question, why would you want to play a Quidditch game when you could just play Rocket League while listening to the Harry Potter soundtrack? Like, that seems like a more fun time to me.
I completely agree with you, and this is going to come up in another game later, but it's kind of like, how have they not done this and well so far?
Yes.
Like, this just feels like the biggest layup ever, which I guess is a Quidditch move. I don't know. and
Luka is a great Quidditch player.
Yeah, Luka Doncic comes out from the East, and he's incredible. It just feels like, how is this not a game and how has this not been perfected?
Yeah.
Yet you're throwing out this level of effort, which doesn't look great.
Yeah.
And you're like, this, how, like, why are we overthinking things?
That's a great question. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the Game Freak, Pokemon company type thing where it's like, we know this game is going to sell. So like, what are we going to do? Reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, spend more money on it? I'm with you on
Yeah.
that. I get that. But also, you could sell a Quidditch game now. It doesn't do great. And then you're like, well, we burn this.
True.
You know, so I don't know.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next one, Andrew. One that was, featured heavily last year as well, and seems like we're getting closer and closer to the release date and a better understanding of how this game plays. I'm curious, is this the game you were talking about, a licensed open world game in Star Wars Outlaws?
Yeah, okay. This gets a capital letters, hell yeah,
Amazing.
written underneath
I'm happy
there.
to hear that.
The trailer looks awesome. It looks so good because they showed the gameplay trailer.
Yes.
This specifically. Whereas this, last year, they showed a very brief amount of gameplay, if I remember correctly.
They did, and it was more a reveal of the game itself and what it was going to look like in the protagonist, and then very shortly after...
not a fan.
Not a fan. No, of course.
It's a woman.
I know.
And I'm not. It's JK and me, my friend, can talk about this. And I'm not. And that upsets me deeply as a Star Wars fan, which is none of this is true. I'm not even a huge Star Wars fan. But sorry, keep going. I cut you off there.
No. They later revealed more of the gameplay, and I felt that Star Wars Outlaws was the kind of game where the more I saw about it, the less interested I was.
Oh.
But this trailer looked a lot better. It looked a lot more polished. I remember the first game, like true gameplay trailer that came out. There were like stealth mechanics, and it's like, oh, this is how you get move your way through this hangar full of bad guys. And I'm like, this looks very generic Ubisoft to me, or like Shadow of Mordor or something. But
Sure.
I know you love those games.
I love those games,
Yeah.
and I was just gonna say, if they did that, if they released a Shadow of Mordor or Assassin's Creed for Star Wars, wouldn't that be a huge victory?
For them,
yes.
And for a lot of people, yes.
Yes.
It's not this is a game I want to come out. I'm very happy is coming out, but is probably not something I'm going to play.
Really?
It's that open world style of game that I don't like touching in Assassin's Creed anymore. I played with Ghost of Tsushima a little bit and enjoyed that.
I liked Ghost of Tsushima.
I did, but I thought that was more because of the combat as opposed to the open world nature of it. They took a lot of swings that you wouldn't see in a game like Assassin's Creed. So I don't know if the Star Wars skin is going to be enough to keep me interested. I've got it on my watch list, but I just think these kinds of games make very good trailers, and I'm hesitant to get too excited about it. I hope that I am pleasantly surprised by this, because I would love to love this game.
Yeah, I actually have high hopes, and this is a dangerous place to be, because I actually I was talking out loud to my wife, and my player one, and I was like, how can this not be good?
Yeah,
and then I went, oh wait, recent movies, TV shows.
No, but I think more to your point, how can it not be good when it's borrowing from tried and true formulas and then applying Star Wars? To me, that's potentially its downfall. If it is a Star Wars skin on a game that I feel like I played before, I'm not into it. I've burnt the synapses of like enjoying these styles of games too much on the earlier ones.
I get that, but if you're playing an unnamed, all I want from Star Wars is just like, and this is where the Mandalorian was for the first season.
Yeah,
and this is where Andor was kind of. Don't give me any Skywalkers.
Yes.
Don't give me any Jedis. Yeah. Just give me a planet that I've never seen before, and I go, oh, this is just what it's like to work at the police station here. And you're like, well, that's very interesting.
Right.
And now I get to be just unnamed, I guess, bounty hunter. Yeah. And I get to run into Lando, which is clearly in the trailer, and Jabba the Hutt. It's Chrome. And, like, everybody. And I'm like, yes, hell yeah. Like, that's all I want is just little cameos instead of, like, Han Solo, you're going to be, what, my apprentice?
Welcome to my team.
Yeah, you're on my, this is
press A to jump.
Watch, he'll rip your arms off. And you're like, oh, all right, cool, sounds good. No, just give me unnamed guy that just works his way through the world. I think that's all I want.
So the Jabba the Hutt reveal, thumbs up or thumbs down for you?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Big Jabba fan.
So it's same, and that's the kind of thing, more to your point, it does a little bit where I'm like, okay, so if Jabba's there, who else is there? Like, how much are they going to reveal? And that's not to say, like, maybe Luke shows up. I don't want it, but like maybe Boba Fett shows up. I don't like. There are. I think it goes back to the Star Wars frustration that we had, and we've reiterated on this podcast 1,000 times before, as has every critic of the franchise as it currently stands. But it's the fact that it's a large galaxy and we keep returning to these same families and same planets.
God damn it.
Show us more. Yeah.
I agree with you. But at the same time, now this is just Star Wars corner for a second. But at the same time, the like best minutes of Star Wars of the last 20 years was at the end of Rogue One, where Darth Vader fucks people up in a hallway.
Yes.
And so it's simultaneously that we keep getting the same family, but also not really giving us what we want. And you're just kind of like, how are we getting neither of these things?
That's true.
You're just like, when it became a horror movie and you hear the breath and the lightsaber in the darkness, you're like, holy shit, let's go.
That was really cool.
But if Darth Vader shows up in this fucking game, I'm gonna lose my mind. Don't do that. Unless he like walks by,
or
you're like, oh.
Something like that, or you see his TIE fighter.
Yes.
Like put him on the outskirts. I want to feel like it's like in this world, I know who the president is, but I never have to see him in person.
Yes.
Like it's, unfortunately, I'm not going to get to.
But give us a crumb of credit.
I will see him when I storm the Capitol.
January 6th of the Empire. Darth Hussein Vader. It's important. And it's just, give us
knock on Nancy Pelosi's door with a lightsaber in my hand. Swinging it.
I also have a fur, I'm the shaman. But give us a crumb of credit. Like
Yes.
that we are semi-aware of this thing.
Yes.
And don't be like, Lando's like, I'm going to bet the Millennium Falcon. And he looks at you and you go, okay, this is good enough. He's been betting on the Millennium Falcon. He goes, it's the fastest.
12 parsecs? No?
No,
Okay.
used to be owned by the biggest smuggler I know.
Yeah.
Looks away and you're like, good.
We
Han
may hear
Solo. Fuck no. Damn it, dude.
we may hear from him a little later. Like, looks off, so you're like,
And try and remember that name. And you're like, God damn it. So yes.
we're going to have a great time. Like, what does that mean?
George Lucas once said, and you're like, oh, I think I'm losing my mind. I think my brain's coming out of my ears.
So anything else to say about Star Wars Outlaws before we go?
No, and I'm probably going to buy it.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like the kind of game where I'll have to take part in the discourse and I might end up buying it.
Yeah.
Game I probably would have loved a demo for, but I know I'll never get it because they're just
yeah.
going to charge you $120 for the Uber Deluxe Edition or whatever, and you're going to do it. Let's go to another major announcement that I took down from Summer Game Fest, one that I'm very curious to get your opinions on. No gameplay, and yet Civilization 7.
Yeah, I wrote down on this. I didn't check, but I might have already pre-ordered it already. Like I think I'm just like Civilization pilled at this point, and I just have like a subscription that I'm unaware that is through my Apple Pay, and it just goes through. I'm really excited.
And so I have a question for you about this because no gameplay, so we don't know what changes they've really made to the game itself.
But it's not like no gameplay, and like I am unaware of what this game could possibly do.
That's what I mean. So I want to ask: is there anything this game could do to make you either more interested or less interested? Because right now you're still hopelessly addicted to Civ 6.
I just took a flight, and it was a short flight.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to finish a game by the time the flight ended.
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh, shit. And I was just kind of like, I think I'm at the back of the plane.
Yeah.
I get a few more turns in. I'm sure there is stuff, lack of progression and also simultaneously too much progression.
Yeah.
Could be the thing that kind of kills this game. It's got to be a steady amount of advancements, types of winning, type of civilizations, types of maps that could help the game advance in a certain way. I think making the game faster, but also not too fast.
Sure.
When I first started playing this and I came on this podcast, I'm like, it's insane you have to wait. It's insane you have to wait. Now, if it was instantaneously that the turn was over and you get to start again, then it would be a different game entirely. So it has to have some pause to it. But I would just like to see the advancement of what you could do. I'm very curious, and I have a lot of trust that they are so aware of this product that I don't think it'll be bad.
Yeah.
It just might be, not a lot.
It's that weird je ne sais quoi that we got with like Age of Empires 2. And then every other Age of Empires that comes out or iteration of it, we're like, it's just not the same for some reason. You don't want them to change too much, even though we all have our issues with the games we love. But all of a sudden that changes and it's like, wait, actually, maybe I didn't want that.
Entirely.
Before we move on, hot take, one of the world leaders in the game, unexpected. Who's it going to be?
Oh, that's a great question. Great question. Barack Hussein Obama. I'm trying to think of the most modern person in the game. I guess Gandhi might be the most modern person in the game. Because that was the 40s. When was Gandhi around? 30s?
Andrew, I'm not even going to try on this one.
It was in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
I think Gandhi's the most recent one. Okay, let's go with Saddam Hussein. Okay, moving on. Wouldn't that be great? Saddam Hussein. You're like, whoa, holy shit.
Has Queen Elizabeth ever been in it?
Queen Victoria's in it, not Queen Elizabeth. Maybe now she's dead.
Yeah. You never know.
Well, Queen Elizabeth II, I guess, is dead. Maybe Queen Elizabeth I could be in there.
No, Queen Elizabeth II.
Oh, yeah. No, wouldn't that be something? A young Queen Elizabeth?
Or King Andrew's in it somehow.
Prince Andrew?
Wait, King. Who's the king now? Charles.
Charles, yes.
Yes.
Prince Andrew's the one that was on the Lolita Express.
Let's put him in.
And
Let's
then,
put him in the game.
And then had that amazing TV interview. Holy smokes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't sweat. What?
Okay, so let's move to one. We can move on and off this one. I don't know if you've ever played or have any interest in a Dragon Ball game, but Dragon Ball Sparkling ! 0.
I have it written down. I don't know what to make. I'm not a Dragon Ball guy.
Did you ever watch the anime?
No, I never did. And so you're aware of it going Super Saiyan and stuff like that. Like that, where Goku's got a tail.
Sometimes.
I feel like, wait, what?
No, sometimes.
Okay. I feel like my dad. I don't get it, but they seem to like it.
Loves Dragon Ball Z.
No, he really does.
Yeah,
it's
he
kind
really
of
does.
disturbing.
He's more of a GT fan. It's actually kind of surprising.
What the hell's that?
Oh, nothing. Never mind.
Okay. It's porn?
It's no, it's just the next Dragon Ball. Okay. There's Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball, a bunch of other shit.
I could just imagine my dad locking in, being like, Dragon Ball, no. GT, whoa. Which way?
Where are you going? Come back.
So explain why this is exciting.
No, I mean, it's exciting because I don't know if you've ever seen from one of the past Dragon Ball games, like the fighting games, when two people who know what they're doing play it, it looks fucking incredible. And this looks more like a single player game with a story, which seems interesting to me because it covers off a lot of the era of Dragon Ball that I was a fan of. It seems like you get some Frieza, some Cell, some Boo, and that's kind of like my bread and butter for Dragon Ball Z. Am I going to get it? Probably not. Do I think it's going to be great? Probably not. But I think it's going to be kind of like a Pokemon Snap thing where if you're in enough to the source material, it might interest you enough to warrant getting it or playing it. So this is a big wait and see. You have a pass fail. I've got a wait and see one on it, and I think this is that kind of in that field.
Wouldn't Pokemon Snap on VR be good? Just like looking around.
That would be great, actually.
Yeah, kind of catching it at the right moment.
That'd be amazing. Yeah. Speaking of VR,
I was gonna say
Batman Arkham Shadow.
This has a big Mikey coded pill on it. Like this got Mikey blinking lights. The Mikey signal, if you will.
The Mikey signal. Yeah. Which you see in the trailer, the bat signal itself falls down. But
have we done that enough? I swear to God.
What?
The bat signal? The bat signal.
Oh my God.
Oh no, someone took an axe to it. What would be your signal that you'd put in the sky?
Oh, God.
To signify that we need Mikey.
I think it would, unfortunately, at this point, not that I want to claim this as my identity, but a mustache probably.
Yeah. I think your mustache and your aviators you wear all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I think that combination of just an outline.
Yeah, the
like
yellow glasses. Yeah.
For the 20th century.
No cigar, though.
No.
Yeah. I like the idea. You're so right. We've seen that image of the bat signal being destroyed so many times. It's like they're like, okay, we're putting a trailer together, and they're looking over the storyboard, and it's the pearls breaking. They're like, no, you can't do the pearls again. And they look over at their partner, and they've got like a drawing of the bat signal. Like,
and it's funny too. So if you haven't seen this trailer, it's a VR, it's a MetaQuest game,
and exclusive to the MetaQuest 3, which really pissed me off. I have a MetaQuest 2, and now I'm gonna have to. And you know what? It probably unfairly pissed me off because, like, if you get a PS3, you can't play a PS5 game. Like,
well, except this generation, you
actually probably can
for the detriment of games.
But it is upsetting because I thought my investment into VR for some oblivious reason was going to keep me on the forefront for longer than it has. And I just don't love the fact that we're getting a new Arkham game. Like when I saw the title, I was like, fuck yeah. And then it's VR. I'm like, not as into it.
That scares me a little bit. The VR thing, I know it's the future and it's kind of unavoidable. And, but I because they didn't show any parts where you are Batman through that point of view.
Yeah.
And what it's like to be like punching as Batman and seeing your little black gloves coming out and stuff like that. I will say, so it's a cinematic trailer, which, hey, Batman cinematic trailers, they work well.
They work, you know, Batman's very cinematic. Batman. Yeah.
When they revealed what the enemy was. What was your reaction?
I thought this was a joke. I didn't think we actually like wanted him as a villain. Now they make him look kind of cool.
I think the reveal of it, so it's the Rat King.
Yes,
if anyone knows. So he's in the style of the trailer is it's they go to the movies and it's like one villain looks at him. Oh, okay, interesting. And then they go to the jail cell and it's the Rat King and it's a kind of reveal where it like swipes across and he's a guy in just a normal prison jumpsuit.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden he's got the mask and he's got rats and candles are everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's the reveal. And then another one and they keep showing different villains like the Scarecrow and stuff like that. But then they realize that Batman goes like, the Rat King will not take my city away from me. And I thought that line, I actually laughed. I was like, oh no, that's right. Yeah. Hey, rats are very scary. I get that.
They're very scary.
Like, so, okay.
But it's like he has sway over individuals in the city too. There's like a well-dressed woman like lighting something on fire. And you're like, oh, okay. So like the interesting thing about the Rat King is it's like strength in numbers and like this underground kind of rising up. And to apply that to humans and him having control over humans, I don't know if the rats are ratatouilleing them.
Yeah,
or how
maybe.
This is
They're pulling their hair, walking around.
Patton Oswalt is voicing the Rat King.
I think I'm impervious to this one, actually. They can't get me. Ripping my chest hair. I'm like, goddamn. So it's a Batman game. It's an Arkham game. That's really exciting. The VR thing scares me.
It does. That scares me a lot.
The opponent with the enemy was a little silly. But other than that,
we'll see. It does just upset me that, it feels like there was a string of really good Batman games, and I know they were getting a little bit stale, but I still really, really liked them.
Yes.
And then we get Gotham Knights, and that's a big bust. And we get Suicide Squad, and that's a big bust. And I'm like, oh shit, there's an Arkham. We're going back to Arkham. And to find out that it's VR doesn't interest me. I don't know that the acrobatics and the fun things about Batman are interesting or appealing enough to be something I want to experience in VR. The only thing I'll say about that is I wonder, you know, the influence of this trailer is very clearly the Robert Pattinson Batman.
Yes.
They even have like a heavy metal undertone kind of to it, just like the Nirvana song from the Batman. So is this a detective game? And if so, maybe I'm into it.
Okay. I didn't think about that. Maybe I'm into it if it's that. I thought about the Robert Pattinson thing too. And once you start doing heavy metal rock and Batman, it just seems like the most dadcore thing of all time.
So dadcore.
Like, it's just God. Like, I just want to rock in my Camaro and just put on a leather jacket. That's what it looks like. And it's like, fuck, you know.
Something in the way.
Like they better not go to that well too many times for the next Batman movie. But
so let's talk now kind of a string of games. An announcement that I think kind of dovetails two of our interests very nicely.
Sure.
I love movies.
Yes.
You love movies.
Yes,
I love
movies.
video games. You love video games.
Yeah, I love video games.
I love Blumhouse movies.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts when you found out that Blumhouse was becoming a development company?
So this is, I have two thoughts of this.
Or publisher, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, publisher. This makes a ton of sense, and this makes no sense.
I'm so happy you said that.
This makes it, I am straddling both lines with this. Blumhouse, if you don't know, is a movie production studio.
Yes.
And if you've liked a horror movie in the last 20 years, Blumhouse might have been a part of it. It's this guy, Jason Blum, who is a really smart business person because he finances horror movies that are very cheap, very, very cheap, and is able to get a big star because he says, I'm going to pay you whatever rate, $500,000 or whatever, to be in this movie for a couple months. But in the back end, I'm going to give you tons of money if this does well.
Yeah.
And you're able to make a ton of movies for very cheap. And if one of them breaks through, then you've paid for everything that year.
Yeah.
And it's a really smart, it's a really good model because one of the few movies that does really well in theaters still is horror because we want to watch it together. They want to watch it before it's spoiled. So Blumhouse has done a ton of stuff. They've also been like Jordan Peele's biggest producer and, you know, so they've done really well together. That model doesn't make a lot of sense when it comes to video games.
100%.
Because video games take years, are very expensive, and have to be good almost instantaneously. And so that model of making things for cheap and hoping it breaks through doesn't really work for video games. And they announced 5 games?
Yes.
Like, it is a big leap for them.
Is this a question of Jason Blum through Blumhouse Games using the accumulated wealth to fund and then give fewer points on the back end to the developers? Maybe. The one thing I'll trust about Jason Blum is the vision.
Yeah.
You know, taking flyers on some of these games, they all look interesting.
Yeah.
The names of these games will go through Fear the Spotlight, Chrysol Theater of Idols, which looks like something out of BioShock, Grave Seasons, Sleep Awake, Simulation, which I think looks incredible. It's like you have to go into a game to solve it. Like you're a game developer who has to go into a game to solve a mystery, similar to like Inscription, a game that I really liked from a couple of years ago, and Project C, which I think is Brendan Cronenberg's game. Cool.
He's made some good movies.
Made some great movies. So we'll see. We'll see if this turns out into anything. I feel like no matter what, it's not going to hurt. So it's cool that they're taking a swing. I think they're probably going, like you said, on the theory that if one of these takes, great, this works.
Yeah.
But maybe 4 of them fail, and that's okay because they're not expecting to have success in everything that they make.
Except you can't make a video game for like a horror movie price anymore.
No,
all of them.
That's the biggest issue.
The
sure.
floor is so much higher on cost. Yeah, you're right. If it fails, who cares? It's not my money. But like, it is a little bit of like, a little confusing. Also makes Jordan Peele's thing with Kojima make a little less sense all of a sudden because you're like, why wouldn't have these two work together? They have such a financial relationship.
Yeah.
But so be it. You know,
it would have made maybe a little bit more sense if the games looked a little bit more deconstructed, like a little bit more indie. Because I'm sure you can make a game for cheap if you have two independent developers working on it or like a small team and go back to that indie style of things, which also feels like it would fit Blumhouse a little bit more.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the games end up looking like. I'm holding out hope. I really hope it works because if this model empowers a lot of gamers or gives them a revenue stream that they wouldn't have otherwise had and some support that they wouldn't have otherwise had, I'm very happy with that.
The only reason I say this too is that the reason this kind of comes around is like why you're scared is because Blumhouse broke this model a couple of times recently when they spent like $300 million to buy the Exorcist rights, then made a movie for $100 million and it bombed. Oh my God. And I'm just surprised that doesn't give you a little bit of gun shy to go like, well, do we want to do this? Like, you know, like it didn't work out the one time we did this. So I don't know. You know, it's a very, hey, but you want creative people working on video games.
For sure.
This is exciting nonetheless.
100%. Let's talk about Power Rangers Rita's Rewind.
Yes.
This one excite you?
Oh my God, yes. Absolutely.
So a very retro-inspired game. Looks like it was pulled straight off of the Super Nintendo or the Sega Genesis or something along those lines. I'm excited about this one. I like these styles of games. I think my one hesitation would be we played Streets of Rage 4, and it feels like something I want, and then I get it, and I'm like, even Ninja Turtles, the new Ninja Turtles game that came out, it never feels quite as good. I'd always almost rather go back and play like Streets of Rage 2 versus 4 or one of the old Ninja Turtles games instead of the new one. I like the polish, but I don't know that the new takes on an old franchise work as well as I think.
Yeah, this is kind of like a candy apple corollary for me, where I see a candy apple in the window, I go, fuck, that looks so good. And then you have a bite of candy apple and you're like, that's about enough for me.
That's about enough for me, exactly.
I think I got what I wanted, and that's not, you don't always get what you want, baby. You know, like it's Rolling Stones shit. So I agree with you, but everything around it, including the design of the characters, look like the first series, the first American series.
That's cool to me. I do like
very cool. The original
that's the Power Rangers I like.
That's the Power Rangers I grew up with. You know, they were friends of mine. We went to Santa Monica High School or whatever the hell.
I liked how I knew the ethnicity of each one while their suits were on.
Yes, when you're wearing a mask and your suit, I'm like, what in it? Okay, good. I know what you are. Blue nerd. Got it. Fantastic.
Yellow, not going to say it. Black Power Ranger, not going to say it. Please tell me that the White Ranger isn't the savior. The White Ranger's the savior? Okay, fuck.
Yes. And if you're female, you wear a skirt.
And you're pink.
And you're pink or yellow.
Yeah.
But you wear a skirt. I think
you got it.
You have to. It's modesty laws. And no, I agree with you but there was so much in that trailer. I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I did also write down, this feels like a game that comes out, and then 2 months later I go, did that come out?
I agree. I agree with that. It's something that we're probably going to miss the release of, like the Battletoads when that came out, and I was like, where did that even happen?
The Ninja Turtles one came out, and I knew it because we did it on the podcast. Otherwise, I probably would have missed it.
I think a lot of people ended up not playing. There was some
Shredder's
DLC
Revenge
for Shredder's Revenge. Yeah. So kind of exciting. I like homage. I'm happy it's being made. It doesn't get in the way of anything.
Is that homage? I think that's just
actually a pure reference to it. So that's Rita's Rewind. Alan Wake 2 Night Springs DLC was announced day and date, essentially, or coming out the next day. Again, I was at the cottage when it happened, so I haven't had a chance to actually play it. But
are you going to play it?
100%.
Oh, nice.
I'll play all the episodes. I said when I finished Alan Wake that I think the best version of this game is going to exist in small, bite-sized episodic content.
Really?
I think that's how this game will be great. By the end of Alan Wake, I was kind of like, I'm ready for this game to be done.
Alan Wake.
But that scares me. Don't do that.
Okay, sorry.
You know that scares me.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
The shaking screen. Andrew, I told you once before, and I will not tell you again. Don't do that because it scares me to my core.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, buddy. Do you think they're going to bring it back for the DLC? And when he goes,
don't do that, Andrew. I know you're asking me a question, but it really spooks me.
I also set you up that one. You didn't know that was coming?
Even though, Andrew, there's a whole segment of this game when you're in a basement, a flooded basement, and you know that it's going to happen. And it still scares the shit out of you every time. It happens like 16 times.
Does it really?
It's that part of the drowned lady. People will know who have played it.
Okay.
The worst part of the game. Fucking terrible. I'll never replay that game because of that part. And I'm speaking directly to you, Sam Lake and Remedy. Fucking when I beat that game, they actually dialed. I fucking beat the game. No big deal. They dialed back the intensity of the scares like a week after I beat it. It's like, fuck, that's so annoying.
Mikey's done. We can do a dial it back.
Can we go back just a quick second? You said the candy apple corollary, and I just want to say that what's cool about that to me is if you take away a Larry, and don't take away my Leisure Suit Larry, but if you take away a Larry from that, what do you get?
Candy apple co. Larry?
No, candy apple core.
Oh, that's pretty good.
No, you said it.
I did. And it's also, I'm going to take credit for it. Can I also, this is something I think about all the time. You're going to laugh because it's just so stupid.
Okay, we'll see.
Candy apple red as a paint color, especially for cars and stuff like that. is there any more perfect name in the world than that?
It is so vivid.
It's so, I can imagine exactly. And then I see it and I go, oh, that's so beautiful on this card. Do you want it? No.
I think Matte Black is a pretty descriptive name too.
Why?
Well, I know exactly what I'm getting when I see it or hear it.
Sure. Yeah, I guess. You know what? Blue.
No, because it could be a bunch of different blues.
Well, no, not the blue I got up here. Yeah. Oh, Robin Egg. Oh, I know exactly.
Robin Egg is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. What other? Let's talk about colors for a second.
What's your favorite color? What is your favorite color? Do you have a favorite color? I don't think I do.
It depends on the content. Is it to wear? Is it to look?
It's a great question.
Yeah. To wear, I like an olive green.
Yeah, you do like an olive green.
I like a burgundy.
Yeah. You're wearing a burgundy.
I'm wearing a burgundy right now.
Yeah, you are.
What's
your favorite place in France too?
In terms of wine?
Burgundy.
Yes. Yes.
Burgundian. Or like Jar Jar, Burgundian.
Yes, Andrew.
Thank you very much.
Burgundian.
I appreciate that. Okay, moving on.
What about Skate? Skate's back.
Okay, that is on my list as well. Did you watch the trailer?
I did watch the trailer.
Tim Robinson
makes an appearance.
Tim Robinson can shred, man.
Yeah, he's a good skater.
He's a very good skater.
All he does nowadays is hang out with skateboarders and skateboard.
He's not young.
No.
That's the base. Like, he's 40.
Gives me hope. It gives
I
me
know.
Hope. He's a man.
You want to skateboard?
I just want to be able to do things in my 40s.
That's true.
And skateboarding is an extreme one.
Oh, boy.
I don't want to scrape my knees. I just want to be active.
I know. Scrape my knees is the least of my concern. I'm worried about, like, my arm falling backwards when I fall. You know, like,
when was the last time you stood on a skateboard?
A couple of years ago.
It's way harder than I remember it.
Way harder.
It's crazy.
It is that thing where you just learn to be afraid as the older you get.
Yeah.
Which is probably like a very natural instinct. Like, whoa, this is
my
gonna
bones
hurt.
can break. My bones can break.
Yeah.
Okay, shit.
I have broken so many bones over the last couple of years, and I just like it now. I'm terrified of everything.
Yeah. You need to drink more milk.
I need some milk. And yeah, I saw the trailer. I was never a skate guy. I was a Tony Hawk guy.
Like everyone else in the world.
I agree, even though there were people that liked skate.
No, skate was good.
Yeah.
Skate had its moment. I think there was a skate on Xbox that was controlled with the right joystick, which is very cool. Yeah. Like to do a kickflip, you would go like back and then to the right.
Yeah, to the side.
It's like if that's what they incorporate, that's cool.
It wasn't just square.
But honestly, there's a feeling when you get a skateboard game that feels more difficult than Tony Hawk. Like Tony Hawk is a formula that's tried and true, but skateboarding is still a sport I think that you can explore with different controls, and that would make it not better and almost incomparable because it's different, and that interests me. But never mind. This trailer wasn't even about the game Skate. It was about Tim Robinson showing up. Did you laugh at this?
I laughed.
It was a little too long. A little too long.
Yeah. Well, classic Mikey excuse. Classic Mikey complaint too long.
But no, a trailer that's 4 minutes long and it's just Tim Robinson. The funniest part was when two people in the background get in a fight and he's like, "That's not even about this. That's a father and son. The big guy's the father, and I think the kid wouldn't clean his room even though he told him to do it a bunch of times." I was like, "That's funny. That's like I think you should leave."
Yeah, 100%. I know. I'm excited by it. Speaking of skateboarding,
so let's do it.
You might know or you might not know. The Olympics are almost upon us.
Paris.
Yes, Paris, 2024. Beautiful Perry.
Gay Perry.
Very gay Perry. And skateboarding, it'll be their second time at the Olympics.
Cool.
It is pretty cool. And I'll tell you, it gets me right back into skateboarding when you watch it and you're just like, everyone looks sick. All the the best outfits, every country's best outfit is like always to skateboarding.
Yes.
The Nike skateboarding shoes look so good for America. I'm like going to buy them.
That's amazing.
I saw them like, oh shit, now I got to buy those. Like it's like a compulsion. Like, now I have to buy them.
Thanks, Nike.
Thanks for putting out good product I have to buy now. But you're going to watch any of the Olympics?
I usually turn it on from time to time, but I'm never as interested. I'm the weird exception that prefers the Winter Olympics to the Summer Olympics. Yeah. Maybe because of hockey, but
sure.
Yeah.
Even the last couple of years when the NHLers were... Oh, okay. No,
but that means my Olympic watching has decreased significantly.
I like it. I can't believe they're going to be swimming down the Seine doing the swimming events, which people have said...
it's very polluted.
It's incredibly contaminated. So I cannot wait to watch them do that and just or come up with a third arm or something like that.
If you're going to throw up, face the other way because it'll propel you forward a little bit quicker. It'll be great.
I just imagine a rocket-powered vomit. Whoa!
Just filled with red wine, escargot,
baguette, cigarettes. Oh, God. Yeah, okay, there you
go. Let's move through
That's our Olympic update. Wait for next episode as we give you another Olympic update.
We should play an Olympic game around the Olympics.
That's a great team. Great idea. Sonic and Mario?
Indeed. Slitterhead. Did you see anything?
No,
about
I did not.
Slitterhead?
What is Slitterhead?
Is the new game by the Silent Hill creator, Keiichiro Toyama.
Sounds like a slur.
Comes out November 8th, 2024. It was intended as one.
Okay, good.
I don't know what the fuck his name is. I just made that up.
It's a couple of slitterheads over there. Oh, buddy. I don't think you're allowed to say that anymore.
I don't have a ton to say about this apart from the fact that it's got kind of like Murdered Soul Suspect vibes, which was the creator of Resident Evil.
Oh, okay.
Or was that Murdered Soul Suspect, or was it? Yeah, there was one of those games, or the Evil Within. Sorry, I always get those two mixed up.
Okay.
Where it's more of a supernatural take on it, and Silent Hill. Apart from 2, I didn't really mess with that franchise too much, but I'm happy, he's taking another swing at something. Phantom Blade Zero. I don't know if you saw this one.
No, I did. Phantom Blade Zero. No, I don't.
Phantom Blade Zero looks pretty neat, but it looks like another Souls-like in the world of Souls-likes. That always makes me think, why wouldn't I just play a Dark Souls game? I'm kind of on that field now. And then do you have anything else from like Summer Game Fest, or do you want to keep moving through the different showcases?
I got, so No More Room in Hell too.
Oh, yeah.
Looks awesome.
That does look, I had a feeling you'd have something to say about that.
That's right down my alley. The dismembering function, they're like hitting and they break down slowly depending on how you hit. Looks so good.
The zombie game.
It's a zombie game. It's a multiplayer zombie game where you attack. You can play 8-player co-op.
Right. Oh, and this is up your alley in particular because of the Left 4 Dead.
Yeah,
Left 4 Dead influence.
It's a Left 4 Dead style thing where
looks like a little slower though.
It does look a little slower, and I think that is good because it seems more. I'm using this word very carefully. Realistic, in the way that like if a zombie was to attack you, they would slowly, hey, what's going over there? And
they would be asking you that question.
Hey man, how's it going? Do you have a spare change?
Andrew, you haven't killed.
Can I charge my phone?
Andrew, please tell me you haven't killed any zombies lately.
No, not zombies.
No, I just hate how the zombies are like all over our parks.
Yeah,
I think we need to move the zombies out of our parks.
Oh, now that we moved them, do you want to use the park? No, I don't. Good.
In fact, I've never been in that park before.
I just want it to be empty so I know it's there and empty.
Put the zombies somewhere like I won't see them. Yeah. I know they're going somewhere else. I just don't want them to be together in a park that I'm not going to use.
In my eyesight.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Hey, man. So it looks, that's like right down my alley. So I was excited to see that. Yeah. I got a few more. Wait.
Sure.
Lego Horizon Adventures.
Oh yeah,
that's gonna get a pass for me.
Yeah.
Not a Lego guy.
But Horizon is an interesting.
There are style of the enemies and how you play them with the robotic nature of them, and the way you hack things and stuff like that does lend itself very well to Lego.
Yeah, it definitely does. That's cool. And the compartment, or not compartments, but the different parts of it. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. People are very excited about that. Not for me, not a Lego guy, but I'm glad it exists.
I like that Lego's taking swings on new franchises and stuff. That's cool.
This is a very big leap because it's not Star Wars. It's not Avengers.
That's more what I meant. Not that they don't mix well together, but I'm like, how did this meeting happen? Who set up this meeting?
Right, and I started thinking about like, does Lego do like Resident Evil?
Great.
You know what I mean? You're like,
fantastic.
That's like a fun idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Dune Awakening MMO.
Oh, yeah.
It's only because we played the Dune game.
You had me at Dune Awakening.
Yeah.
And then
MMO.
Yeah.
I did the same thing where I go, oh, and I watched the show. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Not for me, but we did play the game. What was the Dune game that we played?
It was Spice Wars.
Spice Wars.
Yeah.
And pretty good.
Great game.
And so I was kind of like, we'll see, whatever. And then the last one that I really liked and I watched the whole trailer on was Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was funny and kind of looked cool and very, very different. I found it interesting all over the place.
Yeah.
So I thought that was worth noting.
Kingdom Come Deliverance, a game that a lot of people really liked as well. 2. Sure.
Yeah.
I never really got into number 1, but I always had it on like my Steam wishlist. In fact, I think I have it in my Steam library and I just never ended up playing it.
Nice.
So maybe I'll check it out.
People say it's funny and dark. And I'm like, hey,
funny and dark
that's great.
Is fun.
Love it.
Funny and dark is great. And that gets us to maybe the theme of the Xbox Games Showcase.
Okay.
So I'm going to move through a couple of the trailers that I found most interesting and we can kind of give our thoughts on those. Gears of War E-Day.
Yeah. What did you think about this?
I actually am very excited about it. Now, I'm cautiously optimistic where Gears of War left me in the dust around like Gears 3 or something.
Sure.
I didn't play beyond that.
Yeah, me neither.
It went too far in the future. Batista was there with his tiny sunglasses.
Yeah. It's always, and they're colored too. They're not clear.
100%.
These ones are red, I think.
Probably.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I hope they're not blue. Those ones are weird.
The future, man.
The future
Am I
is
right?
wild.
Well, that's so crazy.
But this one goes into the past. This is a prequel. Yeah. We get Marcus Phoenix and Dom again. The characters that I grew up with when it comes to Gears of War, those are the ones I associate most with the franchise. Before Dom shot himself in the head with a gun that was way too big for his head.
Do you think he looks like it's like so origin story that he has like a very big gun? He's like, this big gun is the best. I love this big gun.
I love this big gun.
And then his wife's like, do you mind chopping down that tree? And he looks over at the chainsaw and he's like, He looks at the big gun.
I hope so. I hope that's exactly what happens. I hope that's the origin of it. And then they're like, I don't know what your name is, but you're very dominant. And you're like,
oh, Marcus, I thought you died. You're raised from the ashes like a phoenix.
Spelled F-E-N-I-X.
Yeah. Huh?
The thing that worries me about it is it might have...
I'm illiterate. Sorry. Oh, it's with a P? How was I supposed to know that?
Blame my parents.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm Mr. Phoenix. Mr. Phoenix is my father. The thing that I've got on watch for this, although this is a big pass for me, is it may have prequel issues in the sense that we've moved so far with the mechanics of Gears of War and what's involved in the Gears of War game that if you now go to a prequel with the mechanics that we've built on, it might feel like, well, then what was Gears of 1 all about? You know, like we've added so much to the game. However, what we might get, which is what I want, is more of what God of War did. Not that God of War, the 2018 version was a prequel, but it slowed everything down.
Right.
And the reason I didn't like Gears as much is because it felt very chunky and tactical in the beginning and became much more twitchy and shootery in the future. I would be very happy if this were a slowed down version where you encounter half as many locusts, and it's more about like these slower paced battles. I love, by the way, the music in the background is a nod to the Mad World, which was the original trailer. It's fantastic. So Gears of War, E-Day, obviously E for Emergence. I'm fully in on that. And this is the start of the theme where I think the Xbox Game Showcase kind of like had the best showcase by far.
Okay.
A lot of good games, a lot of new games.
What other highlights did they have that you wanted to point out?
They had Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I don't know if you ended up seeing this from either Microsoft or the Ubisoft press conference.
I think I saw it on X.com.
Oh, X.com. Wow.
Where they have pornography now.
I was waiting.
And boy, do they.
I didn't know this was a new announcement. Wasn't pornography always on
Twitter?
I
don't know. Based on every post us making and then going like pussy and bio underneath, and you're like, wait a second.
So this is a porn site.
Yeah, but now they hid likes.
That coincides perfectly.
Yes.
Good to know.
Also,
like all these
because Elon Musk's likes were very public, and you can't separate the idea that he walked down the hallway and went,
he's like,
hey guys, can you take the lights off, please? Real quick now. Thank you.
His pants are in his ankles.
Like, it's kind of really important for me for unrelated reasons. Thanks.
Assassin's Creed Shadows. A lot of people were likening the combat to Ghost of Tsushima, which, I feel like Assassin's Creed is getting farther and farther away from what people liked about Assassin's Creed, which is the sneaking and assassinations and stuff, and it seems more like a combat game.
In the name.
It's in the name. It's in the name. But, I also feel kind of like feudal Japan out a little bit. I think a lot of games that are coming out are based in that era, or like, samurai and ninjas and all that. And, you can almost never get too much of that. But with Assassin's Creed, I'm like, I liked that they were doing something that no other game was doing, which is like, Italian Renaissance, like, Valhalla was a little bit new, but
Shogun came out this year. And that's, I think, like, gonna be like, well, that's it for me for samurai stuff for a bit, because that was really good. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? Get better than that? No, shut up. Let's
100%.
go.
Yeah. I had my fill. Avowed, which will be releasing in November, is Obsidian's new game. Very much like the Elder Scrolls esque, like a Skyrim kind of game. Sure. That's another one where I'm like, I'm gonna hold off. Like I said, it's the open world argument. Like I'm very happy it's coming out. I'm very happy people are excited for it, but I'm not quite as into it. I feel like this one's up your alley, Indiana Jones.
I saw this. I don't know what to think.
Yes,
I immediately get excited. You play that music, and my nipples go hard.
Yeah,
like I'm ready to go.
You see a young Harrison Ford, and I'm like, amazing, we got it.
Better than the movie somehow. So that's great. And I saw the new Indiana Jones in Japan.
Oh, right.
Just pointing the last two lines of our conversation together. And I am so, please be good. Please be like, okay.
That's it.
How about this? I'm not asking for you to come up with the new Assassin's Creed franchise.
Yes.
I just want you to be like playable, and I am all in.
I agree. The thing about this trailer that I really liked was it was very cinematic, and usually I'm not as in, we talked about, we knew this game was already coming out. The gameplay I saw in the last trailer made it feel very samey and almost unenjoyable.
Yeah.
But this cinematic was very funny. very Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So I started to think, like, what if what we get out of this isn't a great new game, but is a great new Indiana Jones movie? And I'm like, fantastic.
All over that.
Yeah.
Especially because it is Steven Spielberg and George Lucas.
Yeah.
Two people that have always believed in video games.
Yes,
Like from the
that's
beginning,
true.
have been
That's
like,
true.
oh, video games are important.
They should hire some writers from Naughty Dog, like who did Uncharted, because they were great at that.
It is essentially Uncharted.
It's
that
basically
is
it.
Indiana Jones.
That's what I
modern
want
day.
out of this. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like if I just got to find idols, steal them from the rightful countries, bring it back to England,
Kill modern day Nazis.
Hey, absolutely.
Storm the Capitol.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be great? Indiana Jones January 6th edition or something like that? And he's just like, hell yeah, just shooting Nazis. Okay. Yeah, I'm all in on that. Just be competent. Just be okay.
Be competent, be okay. But I will say I feel better.
When you look at yourself in the mirror and say every day.
Be competent, be okay. I do feel better about Indiana Jones now than I did after the first trailer, which I think a lot of people were kind of on the other side of, but I like it. I also, my prediction is there will be a deathless mode in this game, which is just like, hey, get your dad to play the new Indiana Jones. He doesn't have to die. He'll make his way through it and then get to the next story beat and cinematic, and that's what's going to make him happy.
Absolutely.
Fable, a new Fable trailer.
Yeah, you a Fable guy?
I'm a huge Fable guy.
Really?
But like,
I didn't know that.
Back in Fable 1 and 2, 3 definitely dropped the ball, but Fables 1 and 2 were like 2 of my favorite games. I loved those games. So I'm holding out hope. I'm not fully convinced it's going to be amazing, but I have no reason to doubt that it's going to be good.
Right.
I think based on the trailer, although I doubt that it was actually all gameplay like it said it was, it has enough of a proof of concept that the tone of the story is going to be fantastic. That interview style, which is similar to the trailer that we got in the last Game Fest, is still there. It seems funny. It seems like there's this, again, the emphasis on the choices that you make as a character and how people perceive you. There's this weird like social media involvement now where people come up to you as though they recognize you as an influencer, and they're like, oh, can I I don't know, get a sketch with you or something? It's like, by the way, I don't like you. And you're like, I don't know, like that's yeah. So again, I want to see adventuring. I want to see gameplay. Otherwise, I'm like, I know it's coming. I don't like whatever. I know it's now 2025. Game Pass day 1, which is big news as well.
Wow. Okay.
There's 3 more that I want to say for the Microsoft one. Perfect Dark got another trailer. I feel like we should have let this franchise go. And I know that this is the highlight for a lot of people, but haven't we finished with Perfect Dark at this point?
I guess, like, I would say also, it's not like the story is so deep that you're like, well, there's so much more to mine.
Yeah.
I think the idea is Joanna Dark is a name that people have memories of from the 90s.
Yeah.
And we can afford that and can't afford James Bond. So why don't we just keep doing this? Have you seen the controversy about her remodeling?
No.
People are very
It's
upset.
weird that there would be controversy around the design of a female protagonist, though.
Mikey, you won't believe what they're going to talk about.
What?
Her jawline.
No, Andrew.
Yeah.
Just please tell me. And I don't want to make this a big deal.
Sure.
Please tell me that jawline doesn't have any goddamn fucking peach fuzz on it.
I don't know.
I'll take that.
But
for
it's
now.
a little bit more square instead of the last one, which was a V. Which is, what we see in nature.
Like a man's jaw?
I just encourage anyone that has a complaint about this, meet a woman. Meet a woman. It'll be okay.
Oh, no. Not online.
No. Like face to face, across from a table.
Yeah, so you can see
consensual.
the peach fuzz.
But it's just one of those ones where like, they remodeled her and you're like, is Joanna Dark so like sacrosanct? They're like, oh my God, wait, wow. You know, like
the same people will be like, Perfect Dark sucks now. And then they'll see the face and be like, that's a man's face. Fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
So stupid.
I think the surprise standout of the Microsoft Showcase, the Xbox Showcase, was Doom the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
It's all the Doom we wanted in a dark fantasy landscape. I thought I was done with Doom. Yes. And there's something about a shield that looks like a giant razor blade that you could probably throw at people and come back, and there's dragons and monsters. I'm like, didn't know this was a thing, but what a great take on a franchise that they have Doom, like the revised version, the
remake?
Not even a remake, but the restart of the franchise.
Okay.
Then they have
reboot.
Reboot. Sorry, yeah. And then they have the next Doom, Eternal, and you're like, we may be getting stale on this, and they go in a completely different direction. I'm like, this is what a franchise needs to do. Take a big leap. Doom is already silly. I'm happy with it.
This has been my argument for the Predator franchise forever, and then they brought him back to like indigenous North America.
Yeah,
fantastic idea. But forever the idea was they were like, oh, we were gonna make a medieval one, and you're like, that's a great idea. What the hell's wrong with
Why
all
not?
you
Why
people?
wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
The Predator's probably been going around the universe forever.
Or funny enough, they were talking about feudal Japan for a while too. And you know what? In the 80s, hell yeah. Now,
that would have
now
been,
we've had enough.
Give it a little break. Give me a year without anything. I want to pretend like it doesn't exist. And then South of Midnight, which was a game that was revealed last year as well at Game Fest. Just a trailer last year, but it's got that kind of like Walking Dead cartoon style look to it. We've got some gameplay. This is the epitome to me of a game that I was intrigued by with the cinematic trailer, and then the minute-to-minute gameplay looked a little bit generic, if I'm being honest. Some of the exploration, but the writing seemed cool. The setting in like a New Orleans kind of swamp seemed really cool.
Yeah, the
characters. Yeah, the characters.
Down in the bayou.
Oh, you've been there?
Yeah, I've been there.
Oh, wow. You learned to speak their language.
I did. I learned Creole. Yeah, I learned the mix of 7 different languages.
So that was one. I don't know enough about it to know even if that's a joke.
Bus driver was an alligator, and
Oh, he was.
Yeah, 100%.
Was he good at driving?
Oh, you were the best.
Oh, you were the best. Oh, you're the best.
It is not an exaggeration that my time in New Orleans, the number of people that go like, so you take a left down over there, and you go, and you're like, what the fuck happened? What did I do? Like, did I do something? I'm okay being stupid here. Like, you know.
Did you take the bus from Gator Alley to Gumbo Street?
Yeah, exactly. I went from Mardi Gras Way to Bourbon Avenue. Yeah,
Bourbon Avenue. So in terms of like the overall showcases, I thought Sony's wasn't quite as impressive. Showing off a little bit of Marvel's. I think we'll maybe just speed through.
Yeah, I'm all good for that.
Unless there's something that I say that you really want to touch on. What?
Like Bourbon Way.
Bourbon Way.
Important stuff.
A little bit of interest in Sony State of Play was Astrobot, which was a lot of people will remember with the PlayStation 5. Astro's Playroom was bundled with it, and it turns out it was amazing.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like this platformer. It feels now that it's a franchise that Sony's putting some faith into and actually giving a proper sequel to. It feels like if this works, 15 years from now, we'll look back and be like, can you believe the first Astros was a tie, like just a throwaway tie-in to the PS5? Like, very cool that there's this new franchise that came out of something that, might become a new Ratchet and Clank that came from essentially like a demo showing off what the PS5's capabilities were. Silent Hill 2 still looks really bad.
It looks really bad.
It looks really bad.
That is my summary.
I was worried, or I figured if they showed it again, it would look a lot better than the gameplay one that you and I looked at on the podcast, but
I can't believe it looks that bad.
It looks terrible, like really bad.
Yeah.
Dynasty Warriors Origin, last Dynasty Warriors was in 2021. It's probably going to be terrible, but hey, who knows? An Alien VR game, which looks way too scary for me to try.
But a great idea.
A great idea.
A great idea is looking through those tunnels and being like,
it's great for someone.
Fuck?
I'm happy it exists. I'm never going to play it.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't come out by October. I'll tell you that.
I will have a heart attack if it does. I won't do it. I will end the podcast by then. There's no chance. And then the Devolver Direct talked about Tenjutsu, which is from the designer of Dead Cells. I don't even know if you saw this one. But,
no, I didn't see that one. But
interesting to me because it's more indie games. Yeah, Dead Cells. It looks like a Hotline Miami meets Yakuza.
Cool.
You kind of take down in any order 4 syndicates in Japan. And it looks like you're building up your own at the same time, which looks really cool.
Yeah.
And then Possessors, which is a game by Heart Machine, which is the development company that made Hyper Light Drifter.
Yeah.
And that's exciting for me because the 2D Hyper Light was amazing. Their next version is a 3D version, which I'm not 100% sold on. So if that fails, at least we have another game coming.
There we go.
Awesome.
Wow. Okay, so that's a lot of games.
A lot of games.
A lot of games we threw out there.
Overall, would you rate this Summer Game Fest higher or lower than 2003's?
Funny enough, I think I have it higher.
Oh, yeah.
But I think I'm in the minority on this one.
Maybe. I think a lot of people are happy with what they saw, but I think that it was tailored towards people who like open world, bigger games. Like, in that it's no fault at them. It's just, I like the indie shit. Like Tenjutsu looks unbelievable to me. Yeah. A weird swing like Doom looks amazing to me. Fable is cool, but we saw it last year. There's no like plucky squire, that's the kind of thing that I wanted more of. But yeah,
no, I get that. Do you know when Outlaw comes out? I'm just playing off the top of my head.
I should know that. Vamp for a little bit.
Okay, vamp for a little bit. Only because I hope it's soon, or I hope it's in this year because
August 30th. Yeah.
Fuck yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because I want to be able to play it and like be able to talk about it on the podcast a little bit. I don't, I think one of the problems, and it's not with you and I or not with the user at home, is that you play these summer game fests. We do the podcast about most anticipated games, all this kind of stuff, and then just like doesn't come out or it gets delayed so long that it just kind of like, it's out now. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
And I just want these games to come out and go like, put your foot down and go like, this game's out.
We've had it circled on our calendar for 2 years and we finally get to play it.
Exactly. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, hey, that's a lot of games. Let us know what games you're excited for, what games didn't look that good, and if you agree or disagree with Mikey or I.
Yeah.
But until then, we love every single one of you, and we can't wait to talk to you soon. My name's Andrew Bascom, and with me, as always, is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself,
Mikey Arrowworth.
This is the Retrograde Podcast.
Game over. And this episode has been delayed until 2025.
Oh my God, seriously.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Oh, I think I'm losing my mind. I think my brain's coming out of my ears.